So Benjamin. And Owen. Let's go back to about the business itself, where we're at, what we've achieved, what we're doing. What would you say from a partnerships point of view that you're most proud of within the business now?
For me, it's probably quite an easy one, and I say it all the time on calls with partners where it's the passion and the quality of staff that we've got across the business. I know I've been in tech digital apprenticeships for 19, 20 years, the last 4 or 5 years in EPA, or apprenticeship assessment as it will be known. But whether it's the operations team, whether it's the assessors, for all of our partners, whoever they're dealing with, they're the best teams that I've ever worked amongst. So I think for me it's the passion and the quality of the staff that we've got across the organisation.
I'll take that as a compliment, thanks, Ben. Owen?
Keegan, let him go first.
Yeah. Well, I wrote the script for you.
Yeah. I think some of it's around diversity, which sounds a bit strange, but there's a dedication quality. But I suppose what I'm most proud of is people are responsive to challenge. And what we don't try and do is recruit all in our own image. So again, a lot of our innovation or dedication to the customer isn't just reliant on, say, us working together before, but it's coming from new people coming into the business, challenging the status quo. So I think we've gone through quite a bit of growth, we've gone through quite a bit of change, but I think if it was in a rugby parlance, even though it's Football World Cup,
How did you manage to squeeze that?
Because rugby's the premier sport. It's that 1 to 15. So I think even from the MD, I think, from Helen right down to the latest entrant, so with Charlotte coming into the business, I think it's that you got a bit of passion there, you got the values, but people are open to challenge. And I think that's so refreshing in a business, but actually the benefit comes back to our customers. So I think I'm most proud of met new people, again, different organisation, but it's those common values that kind of tie us together.
I'm sure you said one thing, JP, didn't you?
I did.
No, you said like 30-second monologue on that. Yeah, I've already been told off by my team for that.
Okay, so I would say, out of everything, forget. I don't mean what you've said or about the values, the culture, etc. But as an organisation, I think the one thing that's come across more so than in other businesses is the transparency within the team, within what we do, within our customers. We don't hide. If we don't know something, we're happy to engage and have that conversation. And that transparency for me is throughout the business. And I think that bit that you're talking about of the staff that come in, the eagerness to learn, they don't sit there and say, I know it all. So we're very, very, as an organisation, transparent in what we do. And I think that, along with the honesty, the culture, the staff, the qualifications, it's just the package that I think we've got. And I think that comes across in volumes with our partners, because they all recognise it. Apart from obviously you, Ben, because I get lots of complaints, but in typical, the rest of it is.
But do you know what's not? And it's easy for us to sit here on a podcast and say that, but I genuinely, hand on heart, said if you spoke to the partners, they would share the same feedback. Open to challenge, transparent. I think the partners would say the same thing.
So I think in a shorter summary, we can edit it out. Just the development of people, because actually when you dig underneath the surface, what am I most proud of? The individuals in the business. But if I'm talking to assessors, what are they most proud of is their role in the development of people. So when apprentices come through and we say, you are, you've got the skills, you've got the knowledge, congratulations, 2 years sometimes of hard work, what still ties most people, they're so keen about the development of people, whether it's internal staff, external stakeholders. And that for me is something is really, really hard to copy. So if you're talking about that, you walk out and you've got a real buzz about the place because somebody's got through a difficult assessment, or they've managed to, assess them in a really fair way, and making sure we know that they've got the skills that they need.
And what would you say is the biggest challenge we've got? Apart from Owen, what's the biggest challenge we've got?
Again, I think we've been we've been incredibly successful as an organisation bringing on board new partners and volumes of apprenticeships. But I think with all these changes across different standards across the industry, that brings with itself challenges, because all of those partners are in the same position where they need support, they need collaboration, they've got questions. So trying to make sure we maintain the service that we expect to be able to deliver, timely, collaborative, jump on calls, to try and do that en masse all the time is challenging. But again, that's why we've recruited, again, some brilliant people to come into the team, not people that are going to take 6 to 12 months to come up to speed, people that come from industry, have the same values, passions, absolutely the right fit for the team, but within a few weeks or a month, they'll be able to help deliver that service across a wider range of partners.
I think it sounds a bit, people got buzzwords. So it's that ethical kind of scalability, but it's doing that responsibly. Because for me, our DNA, where I talk about that development of people, lots of noise in the industry, how can we deliver assessments far cheaper? And you see some really wild and, wide-ranging approaches to assessment. But fundamentally, if you're working ethically with customers and responsibly, if you want to grow, if you want the right assessments at the right time based on the right topics, then actually there's a kind of service that goes with that. And if you want assessors who are qualified and who are competent and genuinely care about apprentices, then there's an ethical nature of that. So, yep, AI's got a role to play, and we're looking for ways where we can scale, responsibly, but not letting that diminish what we do well and what we do well for our customers.
And do you know
You
what?
had your turn.
I know, sorry, but I do. As much as it pains
just
me,
can't bear me
as
to
much
talk
as much as it pains me to say, I do think it's a brilliant point, because I think initially there was worries from our partners around, is it going to be a race to the bottom with quality with these reforms? Are there going to be cheaper options that aren't going to be robust, aren't going to support them in the right kind of way? And I think it's never been as important to make sure that things are done properly. Assessments do meet Ofqual requirements; they are robust. And again, like I say, I think maybe I'm going into a bit too much detail, but I think the industry took a bit of a hit, because I think when these changes came in, people rushed to market. People came up with some pretty harebrained assessment schemes that were seriously reined back in because they weren't robust, weren't fit for purpose.
I'll tell you what I think is a challenge, and I'll look internally rather than externally. We've grown as an organisation. We've got great people that we've brought in. We've got people that, like Owen's mentioned, passionate, good, willing to learn. Is the challenge of keeping those good people and giving progression to those people, that rewarding them not just in the fact of their passion, being able to get people over the line in assessments or whatever, but there are good people that in typical organisations, if you're a bigger organisation, we can expand with that. And we've got to give that same level of thought to those people internally and how we can progress them to get the most out of them, because they've still got more to give. But it's a big challenge.
Agreed.
I can't believe you agreed with me.
I did.
I know, we've got it on camera.
The best thing is the bit after agreeing with you, I went on such a tangent, they're going to cut the whole thing out. So I think it's brilliant. It's not going to be on tape. No one can evidence it.
I think when we're talking about, like, especially in your role, how many times has an employer ever come to us and they talk to us about a range of things, how we assess, how we approach different tech stacks, talking about understanding the assessment process. At no time ever do they come and say, actually, one of my major requirements is, can you cut the cost of assessment by 50%? And I think, for me, being data-led, so we've got such a huge amount of data. So for me, one of those challenges is, how do we put that to good use? We know apprentice experience, assessor experience, customer experience. How do we utilise that? And then actually one of the biggest things is that kind of succession planning. So it's, where are the next wave of highly experienced, knowledgeable assessors coming from? So I think we've probably got a bit of a challenge as we keep growing sustainably and saying, right, let's start looking at that next group of highly experienced new assessors into the industry.
And in these areas where we're seeing the growth, I think it's fair to say those individuals don't grow on trees. That is a real challenge, because it's not just understanding the tech, understanding the industry, being good in that industry, it's being a good assessor as well.
Yeah.
So all of those other things that you need to be a good assessor don't always sit hand in hand. And we do it really well. The assessors we have in the organisation, I would put up on a pedestal, but they don't grow on trees. So how are we going to continue to grow with demand and continue to recruit the same calibre of
That's
assessors?
the mentorship that you put in place, but that takes time.
Yeah.
Okay, so scalability isn't overnight when you're looking at that level of assessors. You have to plan that, which is what we do. And we're very reliant at the minute on providers putting their registrations in there. I think that might be made easier going forward with the fact that they've now got to register them up front.
Yeah.
It gives us that data, the more lead-in time. But we've got to really, really lean on some of those really experienced assessors to mentor the others. Otherwise, you're right, that pond's very, very small where we're finding them from.
But I think that's where some of the partners have benefited from that collaborative approach. They don't know exactly what we're going to assess their apprentices on, and that's as a given, but making sure their teams, their assessors, their trainers, their coaches understand what assessment means, understanding those requirements. And that doesn't happen overnight. So it's not a question of, well, we'll try you for 3 assessments or 5 assessments or 10, then we'll come back again in 6 months. I think the ones that have seen in that, you said about collaboration, but the ones that have seen that greater kind of partnership working are the ones who've said, right, blank sheet of paper, how do I ensure my organisation understands assessment at all the different levels?
So, appreciate your time again. I know we're going to have another conversation. It would be good if other members of the team could join us. So we'll see where we get to that. But once again, appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem.
Cheers, JP.